What is up? This is your Desert in a Minute. And do you know one of the most important factors in the exploration and development of the Coachella Valley was camels? That's right. It was the Army Camel Corps that enabled American soldiers to withstand the dry and rough climate of the southwestern United States. And even though the experiment was relatively brief, it's because of camels that the greater Palm Springs area exists as we know it today. Let's get into it. Now, camels are sometimes referred to as the original beasts of burden, and they've been used by other militaries for centuries to haul baggage and conduct cavalry operations. Now, as early as 1836, advocates were pushing the idea of the U.S. Army using camels, especially when the United States started expanding westward, particularly after the nation acquired the desert terrain in the American Southwest. But the push for camel experimentation began in earnest in 1848 when Major Henry Constantine Wayne advocated camel use and sought the support of Jefferson Davis, a senator from Mississippi and the chairman of the Senate Committee on Military Affairs. Thus, by 1855, when Jefferson Davis was Secretary of War, he was able to procure the funding necessary to acquire the camels. At that point, Lieutenant David Dixon Porter, commander of the ship USS Supply, headed to Europe and acquired 33 camels in Turkey, Egypt, and Tunisia for the experiments. Saddles and covers were also purchased, and 5 Arab and Turkish camel drivers were also hired. In June of 1856, the camels arrived in Texas. They originally tested around San Antonio and Camp Verde, and lo and behold, they needed very little forage and water compared to mules. The camels could also cross rivers and bodies of water without fear of drowning and could carry heavier loads than mules or horses. Camels also had other advantages. They didn't need shoeing, they wouldn't get stuck in the mud, and were better climbers than horses. The only downside was that the smell of camels appeared to bother horses and mules. The camels were a practical and logistic success. They were able to march for days without water, and when things got dire for the troops, they were able to find water from as far as 20 miles away. The camels were utilized to survey a route for a wagon road from Fort Defiance in Arizona to the Colorado River, and the Santa Fe Railroad and U.S. Highway 66 subsequently followed that exact route. The camels marched throughout the deserts of Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona on their way to California, where they marched through the Coachella Desert and what is now Palm Springs, deterring hostile tribes along the way who were overcome by curiosity and rode for miles at a safe distance behind the column without attacking. The camel experiment was so successful that Jefferson Davis's successor, John Buchanan Floyd, urged Congress to appropriate funds to purchase 1,000 more camels. But with the onset of the Civil War, the age of the camels was largely forgotten. The camels were lost in the bigger picture, and new Secretary of War Edwin Stanton found the camels to be useless and ordered them to be sold. Some were captured from the Confederates at Camp Verde, and those were sold, and others escaped into the wild. As recently as 1929, there was a report of a stampede of wild camels 25 miles west of Palm Springs, and residents still from Kingston to the Coachella Valley say that they spot camels in the wild. Alas, you could still see a camel in the desert. You just need to go to the Living Desert Zoo and Garden, where Diamond, an Arabian camel, spent 7 months out of the year. And now you know the history of camels in the American Southwest. All right, Desert, it's been a minute.